Here's what it's like to look at a painting for a full hour. Hey there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English for Monday, August 25th, 2025. Coming up on the end of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is a big vacation week in the United States. A lot of people take the last week of August off work, squeeze a little last fun out of the warm weather. Well, today we are going to squeeze some fun out of the Plain English archives. Back in episode 497, I mentioned that I had read the book 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. And in that book, the author tells a story about an art class at Harvard University. One of the assignments in the art class is to go to a museum, pick one painting, and look at it for 3 hours. Look at just one painting for 3 whole hours. And if you do that, you'll learn that you miss so much just by glancing at something, whether that's a piece of art or something else. So I decided to do a version of that assignment. I didn't do the full 3 hours, but I did look at one painting for 1 full hour. It was a painting by Camille Pissarro at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City. And the episode was all about that experience. What is it really like to look at one painting for a full hour? Well, you'll get to find out today, because here's that story from episode 497. "3 hours, or even just 1 hour, seems like an absurdly long time to look at just one painting. Think of the last time you were in a museum. What is the longest time you spent in front of any one object? 5 minutes? So, what could you possibly learn from a painting in an hour that you couldn't get in, say, 10 minutes? Furthermore, the challenge is not to look at a painting for 3 hours while also checking notifications on your phone, while also listening to music, while also getting something from the refrigerator, what have you. The idea is to look at a painting and study it with no distractions. I was recently in Kansas City, Missouri, a medium-sized city in the center of the country. While I was there, I visited the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. I chose a painting whose title I can't pronounce, but here's what I think it is: The Garden of Les Mathurins at Pontoise. Oh, I hope my French high school teacher isn't listening. The Garden of Les Mathurins at Pontoise, painted in 1876 by Camille Pissarro. It's an oil painting on a large canvas, about 165 centimeters across by 113 centimeters high. There was a bench in front of the painting in the museum. I took a seat and turned my phone's notifications off. I set a timer for an hour. I began by noticing everything that was going on in the painting. What things were depicted? After 11 minutes, I thought I had seen everything. So what was I going to do for the next 49 minutes? Well, then I decided to look at what I was seeing and study why I was seeing it. What did the artist do to make the leaves on a tree look like they were in motion? If a tree and grass are both green, how did the artist show me what's in the foreground and what's in the background? There's a brick path that wanders through a garden, but it's hidden by the grass. So how did I know, as a viewer, that the path continued if I couldn't see it? What did the artist do to show me something that was obscured? I looked at angles, I looked at colors, I looked at shadows, I looked at the direction of the brush strokes, things I had never looked closely at before. And I came to appreciate the planning, the techniques, the care that the artist put into his work. And in the process of looking closely, I also found things that had not been visible to me before. More than 30 minutes into my hour, I noticed a dog in a window. And after that, I noticed a railing that I hadn't seen before and what looked like a fountain. During the hour, I would sit on the bench and look up. I would stand up and look closely at a specific part. I would step back and sit down again. The museum that day wasn't crowded, but there would occasionally be 2 or 3 other people looking alongside me. When that happened, I felt possessive, almost jealous. I felt like I didn't want to share the painting with anyone else. One person spent about 5 minutes at the painting. The rest spent 15 to 30 seconds each, and I bet nobody else saw the dog. A funny thing happened at 48 minutes. I started to feel like my time was running out. When I started the exercise, an hour felt like an eternity. What was I going to do for 60 full minutes? But after 48 minutes, I felt the opposite. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to take advantage of the 12 minutes that remained. And in the end, I stayed a little longer than an hour. Now, if you're a Harvard art student, the purpose of the exercise is to study the piece, to note your thoughts and observations during the 3-hour assignment. I'm not an art student whatsoever. So for me, the exercise had a different purpose. The purpose for me was to take a long time and just enjoy something for its own sake, without thinking about getting through the museum or seeing it all. There were no boxes to check, no things to cross off a list, no plans to make, no time pressure at all. It was just a full hour, or however long I wanted, and one thing to enjoy with no outside pressure. Now, several years have passed since this episode came out, and I will say that I still, to this day, feel a special connection to that painting. Kansas City is a medium-sized city about 8 hours driving from Chicago, and now I don't even live in the US, so it will probably be a while before I can get back. But I definitely will go back. I remember the painting very well. I remember the experience, and I'd like to see it again. It's really something. So if you have a nice museum near you, or if you travel to a place with a good museum, take an hour, look at a painting for the whole time, one you really like, and you might just have a connection to that painting for life. This again was episode number 497, so the full transcript and translations and exercises are at plainenglish.com/497. We'll be back on Thursday with one more episode from the archives. See you then.